So I came across this clip of this girl complaining about the 9 to 5 struggles, and she got a ton of mixed reactions. So I thought we'd go over that here today.
The 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy.
Welcome back to the JeSpective, where I do cultural commentary, go over some life lessons, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's get into it.
I know I'm probably just being so dramatic and annoying, but this is my first job, like my first 9 to 5 job after college, and I'm in person, and I'm commuting in the city, and it takes me fucking forever to get there. There's no way I'm gonna be able to afford living in the city right now, so that's off the table. Like, fucking duh! If I was able to walk to work, it'd be fine, but I'm not, so it literally takes me, like, I leave.
Hold on, let's let that breathe right there for a second, because I think that's really the whole problem. She mentioned this was her first job. When you first get a job in corporate America, you're really just happy to be hired. You're happy to be there, but one of the things you don't account for is how much the commute is part of the entire work experience. And it's actually the first rude awakening you get upon joining the workforce. So, feel her pain a little bit there. Let's continue.
Here, like, I get on the train at 7:30 and I don't get home till like 6:15 earliest, and then like I don't have time to do anything. I want to shower, eat my dinner, and go to sleep. I don't have time or energy to cook my dinner either. Like, I don't have energy to work out. Like, that's out the window. Like, I'm so upset. Oh my god. Nothing to do with my job at all, but just like the 9 to 5 schedule in general is crazy. Being in the office 9 to 5, like if it was remote, you get off at 5 and you're home and everything's fine, but like I'm not home. It takes
I mean, she does have a point there. If you are remote, it does change everything a little bit. And that kind of reiterates the previous point that the commute really just is the draining aspect of it all.
me long to get home, and like people that drive to the office, like, you don't get off at 5, and I know it could be worse. I know I could be working longer, but like I literally get off, it's pitch black. Like, I don't have energy. How do you have friends? Like, how do you have time to like meet like a guy? I don't know. Like, how do you have time for like dating? Like, I don't have time for anything, and I'm like so stressed out, and I'm also getting my period, so that's why I'm all emotional. But like, am I so dramatic? It's fine.
All right. I got a few thoughts. So the first thing I did was look at the comments, and I just saw so much hate there. With people saying things like, welcome to the real world, and this girl apparently doesn't know what it is to have a job, and I have no sympathy for you. And I'm at first trying to think, well, I mean, why so much vitriol? But I mean, when we really think about it, I think people tend to have no sympathy towards people breaking down when experiencing what is a cultural norm for most people. Like having to get up, go to a job that you probably don't enjoy, or just having to go to job regardless of the situation to provide for yourself and your family is what most people have to do in some way, shape, or form. It's adulting. And so when you see someone get to their 20s and apparently not understand that, for a lot of people, it comes off the wrong way. It feels like she might have been coddled growing up or has been really entitled. And so, even though it seems very mean spirited with how they are reminding her of that reality, it is reality. And obviously, some people are able to deal with that reality better than others, but that's largely based on their upbringing or their experiences. And in this case, people probably feel as though her experiences did not prepare her for what she was dealing with. I will say, though, I do resonate with a lot of the points she was saying generally. When I first got out of college, I had an hour and a half commute. And I just think about having an 11-hour commitment towards work, and that feeling that originally that was pretty daunting. So I understand that feeling of thinking you don't have enough time and that increased feeling of exhaustion that she felt. Not to mention you're doing this for 5 days and you feel like you're trapped in this wake, work, sleep cycle.
Coming to bed, honey?
Yes, dear.
You also delude yourself into thinking that I'm going to get everything I need to get done this weekend. I'm going to live life and get every task I could imagine completed by Sunday night, only to realize that by the time you decompress and get the chores done that you've been putting off all week, it's all over. And all you've managed to do was catch up on a few episodes of whatever show you're currently watching at that moment in time. This is where I would say, though, that with the benefit of hindsight, you probably had a lot more time than you realized, especially if you're younger. Like that girl, when I was around her age, I convinced myself I didn't have any time either, with the exception of the gym and the one day or so I got to see my significant other. Only to realize now that I had so much time, but I just couldn't see past myself. And I mean, like, what tends to happen for most people is as you get older, you get more responsibilities. And those responsibilities take up the time that you earlier convinced yourself you didn't have, be it a relationship, an expanding family, or increased work responsibilities that you get from climbing the corporate ladder. And the funny thing about it all is you make it work somehow. Because I think at that point we have the experience in balancing our lives and dealing with the emotions associated with increased responsibility. That way you could, avoid a breakdown like the young lady did in this video.
I'm so upset. Oh my God.
This is where I want to shift the focus, though, for the remainder of this discussion. It all goes back to that feeling of thinking you don't have enough time, because that's where the cycle continues. There are things in your life right now that you are convincing yourself you cannot do because you don't have enough time. This could be a multitude of things. It could be something like taking care of your physical health and going to the gym, or starting a new hobby, or I don't know, actions toward self-improvement. What will ultimately happen is our future self will look back at our present mentality with absolute regret. It's like our current mentality lacks the imagination to see how doing any of these things that we set out are possible. And we wind up being our own worst enemy. But I think this is one of those things that we have to figure out. Now, this might mean getting the support of those around you to hold you accountable or assist you in getting these goals accomplished, or reevaluating some of your personal limitations and seeing whether or not they are actually limitations or self-imposed blocks. Like in the gym example, it could be as simple as waking up earlier and trying to get to the gym before work. That way you don't miss out. Or something simple like not scrolling on social media as much on your phone. I mean, I tend to not look at my usage stats because that's a pretty bad area for me, but I digress. I think this is one of those things where it's like easier said than done, because I'm basically saying we need to find the time to do these things that are important to us. Because when we look back at ourselves, we want to feel like we're living a fulfilling life. And in order to do that, we need to stop being our own worst enemy. That way, our regrets can be minimized and our future selves will thank you. Maybe. Anyways, that's my perspective. What's yours? Let me know in the comments down below. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe, as I got plenty more content like this on the way. And one day I will get consistent. But until then, YouTube. Peace.